For Dr. Saya, talking about why we use and why we love our RMT clubs. We use the RMT clubs. Number one, iPats gives us an understanding that sound is a very, very good feedback mechanism for our athletes. Now, the way the RMT clubs are built is that the load and the end load for these and the pulsars allows us to get sound that helps us understand feedback in terms of physics, specifically Newton's laws of physics. So if I create an action, is the sound dictating that I'm moving with the reaction forces or that my whole body's making that action? So with our RMT club, we like to use this for several reasons. Start with a 2-pounder. Now, the beads in it, in the 2-pounder, super light, those things. So when the beads move around, whenever we're doing any type of throwing drill or anything, when we start to hear noise, the noise gives us audible feedback that there are hitches in our motion. And so we've talked about angular momentum. One of the deeper concepts of angular momentum is torque and friction of the joints. If the joints have friction in them, and the easy way to understand that is just think of just efficiency. If I'm too externally or internally rotated and it's not matching the range of motion of my shoulders, think of the kinetic chain. If the sequence isn't efficient, then that friction gets put at the joints. That type of efficiency isn't created because you have certain joints pulling in an excess amount in one direction while the body's trying to turn in this direction, all those things. The way that would come out with our clubs is in the form of sound. So whether I'm doing my overhand throw, no sound. If I do that incorrectly, or if I get too elbow out, you can hear it. Or kids that try to throw, get over the top, you hear all these motions. Those are hitches that are happening within their throwing motion. And especially when they start to get to the heavier weights, so this is a 4-pound club. There's different sounds that you'll hear due to hitches in it. Now, if I want to be efficient, the beads in the club will always stay at the end part of the weight. So if I'm throwing, I'm doing my overhand. Super efficient, no sound. Now, the other part of that is when we start to get to loaded movements and learning how to pulse, one of my favorite things, especially when we get into corkscrews, is understanding how to screw, 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 or we want more loaded weighted drives. Boom. What I'm looking for, the sound I'm looking for is, do I hear the beads hit the top of the bell when my body loads into the ground? Because load is a whole body decision. Do I hear that sound reciprocated in my movement? We get to our swings. I hear two sounds. One when the beads hit the top as my body loads, and then when my hips swing, the beads go from hitting the top to hitting the back of the club. So I hear two movements, nice and relaxed, relaxed, and I drive. And so they give us those sounds and those audible feedbacks and cues, and they're also a great way, fantastic way to explore scapular movement and how to flow with energy. So the next exercises that you'll see will be using the club in terms of understanding our angular momentum, so our W's, how to whip it, and then also getting range of motion through the scapula, learning how to throw, learning how to pitch and sequence really well kinetically.